It's been said that India is the next China in terms of tall building development. What do you make of that statement?
That's a very bold statement, and I think India, although it is quite similar to China in a lot of ways, it's got its own distinct characteristics. I think, yes, there's going to be a lot of tall buildings in India in the future, especially in the big major cities. But I think it's a little way off before we turn around and tell them that we're going to, India's going to be building super high-rise like Mumbai, like Shanghai and the rest of China is.
And what is the main challenge there? I mean, why is that going to diverge so much? Because certainly there's the economic pressure, there's the demand.
There's a lot of different things. I mean, it's very new. India is quite new to super high-rise. I mean, they've only just started building over 200 meters in the last 15 years. China's been building over that limit for almost 20. So that's quite a big difference. There's a lot of government regulation as well as authority issues that are still are causing problems for developers and restricting them going over certain limits. Mm-hmm. So that's quite a bit of things that has to be sorted out. Mm-hmm.
You mentioned the civil aviation limit. Tell me how that affects your work.
Well, currently the airport authority, the Mumbai Airport Authority, has put a civil aviation limit in over the entire of India of about 260 or 280 meters above ground level, which is a sort of, I would have thought, an arbitrary limit that's been put in there a long time ago from the civil aviation and from the airport, from the Air Force, that it's now the government officials don't really know how to change, because by changing it they'll be providing a lot of benefit to big developers, which could be seen as bias. And India, whereas a country of over 1 billion people, and plenty of them are at the poverty line, and when you build super high-rise buildings, you're catering for very luxurious residents and millionaires and multi-billionaires and billionaires. So it's a catch-22 for the government in trying to assist developers in this, while also dealing with the public demand. Mm-hmm. So it's a complicated subject.
Yeah. So is the government considering requiring? Would you find it an appropriate response to require developers of luxury high-rises to also provide a certain percentage of affordable housing?
Well, those schemes already exist in Mumbai. The SRA scheme, which I worked quite extensively with previously, where on the job I was working on, we provided 1,200 apartments to slum dwellers in exchange for their land. So that in the sense, it's great for it's great for the city, it's great for the country, but it's still perceived as the big developers making money out of slum dwellers and making lots of money out of big apartments. So it's quite challenging.
SRA, what does that stand for?
Slum Redevelopment Authority. So it's their scheme.
It's interesting because those are as different urban conditions as you could get, right?
Yeah.
But you're sort of forced to consider both. And maybe you should be, right?
Well, I think it's actually a very good scheme that the Mumbai government has put in place, because without government finance, the private developers are rehousing slum dwellers, putting them into houses, putting them into apartments that they can own and then in the future sell off, putting them in a society that is upgrading their standard of living, while also in providing infrastructure for the city and getting land and development to improve the city. So I think it's a really good scheme, and it's really positive for the entire city. But
So what are some challenges in scaling that, continuing it? What are some of the main challenges that you deal with in terms of sustainable development in India?
The development in India it's challenging because it's new and there's a lot of people that have got to get their minds around building tall and building big in a country where there's a lot of people who do not have that opportunity. Mumbai is a place with the most billionaires in the world, but it's also got a population of 25 million, majority of which live in slums. So it's this huge contradiction. So it's challenging, but it's exciting. So.
Yeah, that is so interesting. I mean, I wonder what sort of opportunities or challenges that provides for designers and developers.
Yeah, I mean all the international consultants are now getting into India with all these high-rise buildings, and we're seeing some amazing design and some amazing engineering come out of the whole thing. So it's really good, but it is very new. I think probably 5 or 6 years ago, there wouldn't have been hardly any international consultants in there who had the experience to design these super high-rise buildings. And now there would be a dozen at least all in there, and they're almost banging at the door to try and get in there and design something that's amazing, because there is a good there is money to be made there, and there's stuff that's quite interesting to be built.
Yeah, it's very apropos to the theme of this conference,
Yeah.
global exchanges.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's quite a few people from India here, several of my competitors in the development world, as well as from a few different other consulting firms, and it's really interesting. This is my first time to CTBUH, and it's exciting to see what's happening around the rest of the world, but it's also exciting to see what India brings to that, because I think what we're doing in India is very amazing, and it's good for everybody else to realise what, we're putting up 24 250-metre towers in 3 or 4 square kilometres in Mumbai, which would compete with almost any other city in the world. So I think it's really great.